Hi everyone, this is Bearcat Nation's presentation on organizational behavior in the movies. Our focus is on organizational behavior concepts that can be found in the movie Apollo 13. Our team members are Eileen Macias, Jimmy Lewis, Kyle Baker, Lindsay Shirey, and Rayan Price.
The film Apollo 13 traces the events of the 1970 Apollo 13 space mission, which was launched with the goal of reaching the moon. This mission was cut short when an oxygen tank on the spacecraft exploded, causing massive internal damage. Three astronauts, Jim Lovell, played by Tom Hanks, Jack Swigert, played by Kevin Bacon, and Fred Haise, played by Bill Paxton, are forced to abort their original mission. NASA's flight team, led by Flight Director Gene Kranz, played by Ed Harris, begins a rescue operation to bring the crew home safely. Apollo 13 follows tandem storylines from the point of view of the astronauts and the Houston-based NASA flight team. Both teams are thrown into repetitive, time-sensitive problem-solving situations, which involve the damaged spacecraft, trajectory calculations, astronaut health, communication issues, and electrical power concerns. Gene Kranz enlists the help of Ken Mattingly, played by Gary Sinise, an original flight member used to help guide the spacecraft and the astronauts home safely. As history and the film tells it, the Apollo 13 crew re-enter Earth's atmosphere safely and unharmed. The steps that brought the crew home safely help us understand effective communication and organizational behavior.
Apollo 13 exhibits several concepts that can relate to the use of team processes and how to effectively communicate to solve problems. Throughout the film, we see the teams of scientists, astronauts, physicists, doctors, and engineers working together under exceedingly stressful situations to make quick and accurate decisions with life and death implications. The concepts that appear in this film include team processing and effective communication, decision making, and cognitive ability. Next, we will review some scenes and discuss articles which help to describe each one of these ideas.
In this scene, the NASA engineers attempt to build a filter using the available material from the spacecraft in order to stop the CO2 leak. They worked under pressure to solve the time-sensitive issue as a team. The NASA engineers successfully came up with a plan, and they replayed this plan to the astronauts. The CO2 issue took a team to brainstorm and pinpoint different outcomes which led to the appropriate solution. This particular scene shows us a great use of team process. Team process refers to the type of communication and interaction that occurs between team members and ultimately contributes to their end goals. Characteristics such as the diversity of members, interdependence, and cohesion of communication attribute to the overall team process. The Journal of Oncology Practice provides resourceful information in their article on developing effective communication skills. The journal states that the effective communication requires paying attention to the process as a whole and not just the content of the messages. Knowing that the results of miscommunication to the astronauts could be catastrophic, the NASA engineers have to take into consideration all of the barriers that could affect the transmission of their information to the flight crew. The article also claims that clear state goals drive results. The engineers at NASA are seen stating their goals with clarity in efforts to develop communication cohesion among the team.
In this scene, the NASA team gathers together to determine the best option for bringing the spacecraft back into the atmosphere. In their brainstorming session, several ideas surface until they make a decision that they could all agree upon. The NASA team was able to use their decision-making skills to determine the best course of action, which was to use gravitational pull by slinging the astronauts around the moon. Under extreme pressure, the NASA team had to use quick and accurate decision-making skills in effort to save the lives of the flight crew. By decision-making, people use information and sometimes intuition to make specific decisions. Team members share information to solve problems and then work together to come to a consensus that accurately addresses the problem and achieves the final solution. The NASA team filtered through several alternatives during their brainstorming session to decide on the safest option available. The film accurately captures each team member's awareness of the ramifications of being wrong about their final decision. In Cindy Dietrich's article called Decision Making: Factors that Influence Decision Making, she discusses the dynamics that influence decisions and how they are made. Several of the factors that influence our decisions include past experiences, cognitive biases, age and individual differences, belief in personal relevance, and escalation of commitment. Possibly the strongest factor for NASA's decision was each team member's belief in personal relevance. The article states that the factor of personal relevance simply means that when people believe what their decision matters, they are more likely to make a decision. In this scene, the team knew that their decision mattered at the highest degree. Failure meant the loss of 3 American astronauts.
In this scene, Ken Mattingly, the astronaut who was originally held back from joining the crew due to potential illness, is called in to assist the NASA Command Center to solve the electrical power issue that would eventually get the astronauts home. The astronauts were only able to use a certain amount of amps to restore the spacecraft's power. Over amperage use could have meant not having enough power to make it back to Earth. NASA made the right call in bringing in Ken Mattingly to help in the rescue mission. Ken's vast knowledge of the spacecraft and the ability to solve problems as a member of the original crew made him an invaluable asset when time was of the essence. Ken possessed cognitive ability, that is, the capability to acquire and apply the right knowledge for the right situation. Cognitive ability can be categorized as several types of skill sets that make use of information and problem solving. Cognitive ability can be verbal, quantitative, spatial, perceptual, or involve reason. Ken uses several of these facets to work with NASA in reestablishing power to the spacecraft. In their article, Social and Cognitive Factors Driving Teamwork in Collaborative Learning Environments, Bosch, Seegers, and Krishner state that the interpersonal and social cognitive processes have to be taken into account to understand the formation of mutually shared cognition, resulting in a higher perceived team performance. Ken was the right person for the right job because he shared this cognitive ability with the astronauts who were on the mission at the time. His knowledge proved invaluable as he was able to successfully power up the spaceship and bring the flight crew home.
The communication concepts found in Apollo 13 support the overall communication process. Communication is the process by which information is transferred from the sender to the receiver. Cohesive teamwork can create effective communication. NASA efficiently used team processing and communication to relay information to the astronauts about how they should proceed step by step to arrive back on Earth safely. NASA's decision-making had grand repercussions. Making the wrong move could have meant losing the astronauts in space. The team used several decision-making skills and factors to make the right decision in a timely manner. Cognitive ability played a strong role in getting the right people for the right job. Ken Mattingly's expertise was invaluable to the crew at NASA. He was able to apply the right knowledge for the right task to rescue his friends. There are 3 practical takeaways on the concepts found in Apollo 13. 1 is effective communication can create a cohesive team. The ability to understand your teammates, work interdependently, and agree upon the best route of communication will strengthen your team's ability to communicate efficiently. A cohesive team has a chance at meeting goals with accuracy and in a timely manner. 2 is to consider all factors that influence the decision-making process. Decision-making isn't always as straightforward as it may seem. Several considerations must take place depending on how important the outcome might be. Factors like past experiences, age and individual differences, personal relevance, and escalation of commitment should all be considered in the decision-making process. The more decisions that are explored based off of these factors will lead to more available options to choose from. The third practical takeaway is cognitive ability. Cognitive ability can truly be leveraged to work smarter and not harder. Cognitive ability applies the right knowledge in the right situation. Sharing experiences with teammates can increase the overall cognitive ability of the group. Keep in mind that sometimes it's best to reach out to the subject matter experts who have skills like verbal, quantitative, or reasoning abilities, in effort to appropriately achieve your team goals. Thanks again for watching Team Bearcat Nation's presentation of organizational behavior in the news.